Happy Friday, our final show of the week. Hopefully, you have big plans this weekend. Happy Friday to everyone. Thanks for watching Red Sox Now. I'm Mike Antonellis. No Woo Sox games this weekend for me. The team is in Durham. I will be there next week. Things are dwindling in terms of the prospects there, which is a good thing. We'll get to that. You can see on the side, it is Tolle time. How about the race right now? Not only a wild card, there's a lot going on. I think people kind of are in tune to, maybe the bigger thing that the Red Sox are looking, and then your fantastic comments. We get some good ones coming up, which we do at the end of the show. So if you're first time, you see on the sides, that's what we talk about. I'll go off the rails, of course, off topic, but those are generally things we like to talk about. Then your comments lead to other things, which are always good. The comments are fantastic. They really add to the show. Love interacting with you during the day. Can you subscribe? You will subscribe. Have you subscribed? Those are the questions. So we are closer to 1,700 subscribers because we've had a big week thanks to all of you. So first time watching, if you've not subscribed, it helps. So can you do that? Comments, again, we'll read them at the end of the show. If you don't want them read, too bad. They're on there publicly. So, we'll do that. But appreciate it. Follow me on social media at the Radio Mike. I think some of you are starting to follow me on TikTok as I bring up my TikTok here because I did a little video in the 8th inning yesterday saying that I think Payton Tolle will get called up. I'll tell you why I think that. It was from being in the system, from being around this for almost 30 years, there were a lot of clues. And I'll tell you why it was pretty easy to figure out. I am at the Radio Mike on TikTok. At the Radio Mike on X. Some of you will follow me now on Instagram. I forget all my I should have made them all Radio Mike, but I didn't. It's Mike Antonellis 726. I failed. I wonder if I could just put a QR code on here to my link tree that has everything. Probably. All right, the Red Sox found a way. They went 7-1 on the trip. I like that they had adversity. I like that we saw times where they struggled. That's good. How was it early in the year? When they had any little adversity, oh, man, it was south. I think one underrated thing that they've done, they still have made a lot of errors, but I still think they've played the game better in terms of doing the right thing. And what did you see yesterday? 2 horrific base running plays by Baltimore. When a lot of you have commented on the Red Sox base running, because a lot of you just watch the Red Sox, which is fine. I get that. I watch a lot of games. And I told a lot of you this is a Major League Baseball pandemic or problem, whatever you want to call it. I don't like pandemic. I don't like that word. Issue. And a lot of it I ask coaches, why is it the little things? It's because those guys just care more about launch angle and velocity. It's just, and you can blame the organizations. I agree with that. They have got to fix the way the game is played. That line drive to short yesterday that Story made an unbelievable play on, Jackson Holliday just takes off recklessly. Think about this. You're at third base. The worst thing that happens in the world, if you stay at third and Story doesn't catch that ball, you could walk home. He just assumed, I'm just running home. That was poor. And then the play in the 9th when it's hit right to the shortstop and the runner just takes off for third base. Like those are things that should not happen in the big leagues. They don't happen in college. Those are as basic as you get. And that is something, and this we could do this for another show. This is everywhere. It's every organization. I see it, I'm not exaggerating, 2 or 3 times a homestand from everybody. Last homestand, Jacksonville, the team we're playing, Marlins affiliate, runner at first, line drive to right, the runner at first just kept running. That got doubled up easily. It was just a short line drive to right. He just assumed the ball was going to fall. So that's a problem. I like that the Red Sox aren't doing those things. They found a way. Crochet's human. I told you It's not always that easy. I like Povich. He's pretty good. Baltimore's a lot better now than they were earlier in the year. They won series from Houston and Seattle. Their lineup's pretty good. I really like that Jackson kid who has traveled around and now he's finally getting a chance. He's only 25. The not the catcher. He had really good at bats against Crochet, and I think he saw the Baltimore people were reporting this. He saw 20 pitches against Crochet, who this is the worst you get from him. 6 innings, 6 hits, 2 runs, no walks, 7 strikeouts. He fought it a little bit. Still threw 67 of 98 pitches for strikes. Lou made a good point about him on 4 days rest. He's a lot better on 5 days rest, but, day game after night game. Listen, it's not easy to win 4 in a row anywhere. Home, road. I am, elated at that road trip. 7-1, and you really needed it. And what I like about this team is guys picked other guys up. Story bailed out Crochet. Romy Gonzalez had a great at bat, and Lou called it too. Lou called on 3-2. He said, you could get spin here because that pitcher had shown spin, and Romy, you could see him stay right back on that. He was all over that. Rob Refsnyder hasn't played forever. Homer's singles goes 2 for 4, and Story homered. But I liked how guys picked other guys up. You had some adversity. You fought back. Baltimore kept tying it, and you had a better at bat late. And Justinson Garcia got his first hit. Good for him. A double. But you needed Hicks to be good. He was. Got the win. Pitched him in high leverage, 7th inning. Worked around a hit and a walk. Whitlock, same thing. Hit and a walk. Got out of it. Threw 97. Dotted that pitch. And Matz worked out of that issue in the 9th. Well, after the Carson double. And then Carson made a horrible base running play. This is another thing I like, too. I like having Matz. We talked about this when they traded for him because he's older, right? Because they're going to manage Chapman. They have a plan. I'll get to that during the comments because somebody brought up Chapman, but I want to talk to you about, what they've done this year with him. It's not a bad thing to have Wilson, Matz close games out once in a while because they're older. I'm just more confident. And he has been scoreless in 10 of 11 outings since they got him. So I like the adversity. You went 7-1 on a road trip. All right? In a league right now, let's see. Detroit, Houston. That is it in the American League. Over 500. Yankees, 1. 3 teams. National League, Milwaukee, the Cubs. That's it. You have 5 teams in baseball that are over 500. By the way, kudos to Kyle Schwarber's 4 homers, and he had a chance to get a position player in the 8th and pop the left, and I turned the game on to watch it. But I just like how the Red Sox have overcome some mistakes when they haven't looked the best, and these are tough games. Like, it's late in the season, and you're playing on the road, and you're playing day games, and you're not playing in front of a lot of fans, and you just came from New York. All that's it's hard. It's a grind, and they got through it. And now they're home, and they're going to get a huge shot of adrenaline tonight. I mean, this couldn't have been any better. Payton Tolle is here. Skeens is on the bump. All right, it's a. By the way, the stats portal yesterday that I have that it's in front of me right now had the wrong game time, so I apologize. The game was at 1:05. It says 7:10 tonight, which should be right. Skeens has been unbelievable. Red Sox have not officially announced Tolle. I put a video, I think I talked about it in the video yesterday, that I was pretty confident he was going to pitch Friday. It's the guy I wanted. I did a TikTok video on the 8th saying that they would announce it after the game. Here's why. It's not that I'm smarter. I've just been around this. It wasn't a hunch. I saw him pitch last Friday. I was on the TV broadcast with JP Ricciardi. JP and I said, let's see, after this start. And he's easily one of the best arms I've ever seen. For this stage, first year, I like how he throws. He commands 98, but it's like it's in a box. He'll keep it. He rarely throws 98 up, and when he does it on purpose, cuts that plate in half consistently, and his other stuff look great. But he's your better option. You're trying to win. I get the innings limited, and maybe he only goes 3 or 4 tonight. I don't know what the plan is, because the 100 is usually the magic number. Maybe it's 110. So if it's 110, I could see 4 innings, right? Because I'm okay with them going less to keep him there longer. But here's why it was really easy to tell. Now, there were a lot of clues. I get Harrison was taken out of the game for the Woo Sox after 38 pitches. But they kept saying that was an option. We're keeping all of our options open. We want to see what happens on Thursday. Okay. If it was Kyle Harrison, they would have just announced that, right? That's not a huge. The fact that they weren't going to announce it, and I don't believe that they're waiting for Thursday for what? I didn't understand what they were waiting for. Like, what did Thursday have to do with who they were going to start Friday? So maybe if it was a blow-up game by Crochet, they felt confident using Harrison. I don't think that's what it was. They just didn't want to tell you. Plus, the game notes, because I've been doing this forever. I used to do game notes for the Sea Dogs. Pretty much my first 25 years, I did the game notes. If you don't know what those are, game notes are what the media gets before the game. And there were times where I was told by the Red Sox, this guy, this pitcher's coming. We're not going to announce it till that day. Can you just put TBA? Because we would put our probables on there, probable starting pitchers. And you'd put TBA. But there'd be times where it would be in the middle of a series and have pitcher listed, TBA, pitcher listed, and we all knew that everyone knew someone was coming up from the lower levels. The Red Sox they changed their rotation on their game notes to TBA for the whole series. So I'm like, okay, well, if it's TBAL series, I figured they were moving May to Saturday. It was pretty easy because if May was pitching Friday, you would just announce that. Then the Woo Sox on their game notes had Friday, it's either going to be Shane Drowan starting, followed by Tolle, or Tolle starting, followed by Drowan. I'm like, okay. So the clues are out. It was pretty easy to figure out just from being around it. Plus, after last Friday, it made no sense to pitch Harrison over Tolle. I get that he's a 40-man. I get he's been there. I get you traded for him. I don't care about any of that. He's not as good as Payton Tolle right now. It's not even a debate. I don't care that he's pitched in the big leagues. None of that matters to me. None of it matters to me. I don't care that Payton Tolle's in his first year. Pitchers are different. They're different than young hitters because it's just harder to hit. But young pitchers can go up there quicker and dominate because the game is so hard. And he is so good. And Harrison can barely get through 5 innings. And I tell you what, I like that the Red Sox, see, this is what I've gone back to about my criticism of ownership is changing leadership. Because Breslow's different than Heim. Heim was different than Dombrowski. Dombrowski was different than Ben Cherington. And when you do that every 2 years, you get kind of a leak over of him, and him. And you got to kind of stick with one thing. And you can tell, I thought Heim did great. I thought Ben Cherington great. I thought Dombrowski, for what they were asked to do, right? Think about this. They all have their warts, but what they were asked to do. Ben came in, rebuild the farm system. Think about where they were at that point. Horrible. They won a World Series. He still had a plan to get better. He wasn't allowed to. Dave came in, reaped the benefits of an unbelievable system. It was. He admitted it. With Mookie, but he filled in the blanks perfectly. He's out. Heim came in, was asked to do what Ben did. He did that. And then he's out. And then Breslow comes in, and what Breslow the trades, signing Bregman, Chapman, maybe Heim wouldn't have done that. Maybe Ben Cherington would. I don't know. Who knows? It's not worth, trading for Crochet, trading for Narvaez. Pitching has been a thing. He's much more getting rid of Devers. But you can see his vision. And part of their vision is they could care two you-know-whats about Roman Anthony being 20, 21, top prospect pressure. Nope, you're in the big leagues. You're leading off. Payton Tolle, first year, nope, pennant race. I like that. They taking stances on things. That's what good leaders do. Right? You got to take stances on things. You got to make tough decisions. I think they've done that. So I like what they're doing. I like the drafting. This is a draft pick. Maybe the last 3 GMs don't draft Payton Tolle. Maybe this was a big reason you didn't get. People are still obsessing about the trade deadline. Well, now that we've seen things through, maybe Sandlin and Early weren't even in the conversation with other teams. I don't think they were, because Sandlin's a reliever. I don't think Connolly Early is a high upside starter. Maybe it was just Tolle with Rafaela or with Duran. Pretty much, maybe those were most of the trade proposals. Everyone complained last year. Oh, they didn't make any moves. They made moves. They stunk. I didn't like the moves. But as we found out from Rob Bradford, Roman Anthony was in a lot of those deals. And you punted on that. Was that a good decision? I think so. You're better now. Would you be better without Payton Tolle? Obviously, we don't know yet. I still think that would have been a huge mistake if they traded him. Now that I've gotten to see him at this level. So think about that. They took a stance on a lot of things, and especially at the trade deadline, because I can't sit here and I just think that talk about the trade deadline is exhausting, and people are still doing it on sports radio, that they weren't aggressive enough. You don't know that. Unless you know what was sent out, you can't really have an opinion on that. It doesn't make any sense. Look what it took you to get Dustin May. It took you a top prospect outfielder that was a high draft pick. So if you thought you were getting like a starting pitcher or reliever, like of a high caliber, just look what everyone else gave up. This guy would have been easily, was in every conversation. And in the end, them saying no thanks at the deadline. This kid's pitching for you on Friday night against Paul Skeens. Plus, overall, I can tell you this from, being in the minor leagues and knowing the player development people a lot. I saw Ben Crockett last weekend. Ben's been in the organization since Theo, I believe, or Ben. He's been there since a long time, and I know Ben really well. I know Brian Abraham. They run this. They've done a hell of a job. This is a huge win. When it looks easy. Top prospects, Roman Anthony, number 1, and all that. Jackson Holiday, number 1. He's really turned the corner this year. He's in a little bit of a downside, but the pressure on that. But when you get these guys to the big leagues, I can't tell you organizationally how great this is. And I was telling some people last night, this 2025 Woo Sox alumni, when we go back and look at the players that were on this team, is incredible. It really is. Absolutely incredible. And if you're a casual fan, whatever you are, it doesn't matter. This is so great for the game. You got 2 young pitchers. Remember where, I don't know, we got into this thing where pitching, they were changing all the rules, but like what is happening tonight is so amazing. The MLB Network will have the game, by the way. It's out of market, of course. Nesson, of course, here. But the amount of people that are talking about this. Ken Rosenthal puts this on, and the tweets, the amount of engagement on this is what it's all about. The interleague schedule, I love it. This is why I like that you play everyone. You have this. But how there's been such a shift in fans from when I was a kid to now. You have a pitcher in his first year professionally starting at Fenway against one of the best arms in the game. And it's taken a life of its own. This is why the game is in such a good spot where, man, that's why if they go on strike, which they probably will. But this is just amazing to see. It's awesome. I can't wait for this day to be over. I'm recording this in the morning, and I mean the day to be over so I can watch the game tonight. I don't know. I am so pumped for this. And by the way, Payton Tolle lost his mother not too long ago, and Chris Cotillo made a nice little comment about on social about how she'll be in his thoughts. So I thought that was really classy, and you can't imagine what that kid's going through. But what a day for him. Quickly, I've been focused on the wild card, but the Sox and Yanks, right? Even the Yankees, they're 4 back of the Jays. Red Sox are 3.5 back. If you just went 5-3 on this trip, you'd be behind the Yankees. A winning road trip, even though you would have won 3 of 4 against New York. This is how weird baseball is. If you had split with Baltimore, you'd be behind them right now. I know you have the season series, I get that, but still, I'd rather be in front. So with 27 games left, you have a half game lead on the Yankees. They play the White Sox. Toronto is home with Milwaukee. Seattle is at Cleveland. Cleveland's on their heels. So Cleveland needs the sweep at home against Seattle to have any chance. If they don't, even if they win 2 of 3, they'll still be 4 back. Kansas City's won 2 in a row. Where are the Royals? They're home against Detroit. So I still will sit on the throne of the final 6 is already decided in each division. Cincinnati's lost 3 in a row. They're now 4 back. San Fran has won 5 in a row. They just swept the Cubs. But there's no doubt, Sox and Yankees, they're headhunting that division, right? I want to look at the Yankees' schedule quickly here, what they have coming up. That series against the Red Sox, that's why I say stay humble, because they come to Fenway, and everything that happened in New York does not factor in. So they got Chicago, who they won against last night. You can't poke fun at them for having easy games. You did too. At Chicago, at Houston, Toronto, Detroit, at Boston. Wow. 9 against 2 division leaders and the Red Sox. Those 6 games at Chicago, at Houston, Toronto, Detroit, at Boston, at Minnesota, at Baltimore. They got a 10-game trip, and then they finish with the White Sox in Baltimore. So that September is going to be really interesting for the Yankees. That is pretty cool. Red Sox have a homestand with Pittsburgh and Cleveland. Isn't that weird? All right, Thursday comments. They were great. They were great. Am I lying? No, I'm kidding. I was going to say I'm lying. I'm not lying. At JHPAQ, JH Pac. Another good move that has been overlooked was signing Justin Wilson. Yeah, absolutely. I think still, a move that I don't think we talk about. I think that's why it was good to get Steven Matz too, in case, insurance. I love Bernardino, but I trust Wilson and Matz a little bit more. I mean, Matz has been unbelievable. He had an ERA of over 5.5 last year with Cincinnati. He comes to Boston. You got to give the Red Sox credit with what they've done with pitching, because they have brought a lot of guys over here that have been having career years. Just looking at his day by day, I mean, he's been pretty consistent. Wilson gave up 4 earned of his 12 runs in April. So, let's see, from May 1st He's 3-1 with a 2.27 ERA. So he's given up 8 earned runs in his last 40 games. 2 have been on homers. That's pretty good. Pretty good. At Croc317, Chapman looks like he's still got a lot left for 37 outside of knuckleballers. Not many get there. Okay, so I'll let you in on a little something. I know that the training staff really well for the Red Sox because they were all minor league trainers. Brad Pearson is their head medical guy. Lou has talked about this. I've heard about this. They are really managing Chapman. And I know a lot of you want him out there every game. I know you were mad that last week. They don't care what you think, and I'm glad. They don't care what I think either. They have managed him. They're doing this with Bregman, but they have a different way of measuring. They can measure everybody's activity. They have these vests that they wear pregame. But what they're doing is they're thinking of the long haul, because in the postseason, you're going to want, think about this. If you get to postseason and you burned them out, wouldn't you be mad? I get the games now. I get it. I get both arguments, but you have to think long term. It's a long game, like I've told you. And what they're doing to manage him is fantastic. Because remember that one day he warmed up and got hurt his back. I think it was on a back-to-back. But they are having days where they know he needs rest, and I am all for that. It's hard to argue, right? Because a big part of why his season is so good is because of the way they're managing him. I mean, he's got an ERA of almost 1. So I love what they're doing. The training staff here is really good. I'm not just saying that. The things that they do, I mean, they have guys that have stayed with multiple general managers. Usually they'll even get rid of all the medical people. And every GM that has come in has not, because they're so good. At J.I. Goodrich, maybe tomorrow you can explain the roster expansion and bring up players who are down. That's it. Yeah, September 1st, you can expand the rosters to 28. But here's the postseason rules. Any players on the 40-man or 60-day injured list as of 11:59 on August 31st is eligible for postseason. So 60-day, you're not technically on the 40. You have to make a move for that. Restricted list at that point are eligible if they haven't been suspended for performance-enhancing drugs. This is interesting. A player who doesn't meet said criteria for postseason eligibility can still be added to a team's roster in the postseason via petition to the commissioner's office if the player was in the organization on August 31st and is replacing someone who is on the injured list and has served the minimum amount of time required for activation. For example, a player on the 10-day injured list who has been on it for at least 10 days, or a player has been on the 60-day for at least 60 days. So that means that you don't have to be, if there's a bunch of injuries, you can petition a non-40, non-60-day injured list player. Players who are acquired in September are ineligible. So it used to be you had to be on the roster, but that's because the rosters were 40. So as long as you're on the 40 or 60-day injured list on August 31st, right before midnight, you are eligible. And you are eligible to tell all yourselves that was a great show today because of all you watching. You're always great. A Friday edition of Red Sox Now presented by FanArch. I'm Mike Antonellis. Subscribe to the channel before you leave. Rock your Sox caps tonight. I think this is going to be great. Tolle and Skeens, I cannot wait for it. Hope your Friday's great. Go Sox.